uh,
Forum for Autism is a parent support group to support families of children with autism. It was set up in the year 2002 under the Indian Trust Act 1950. Forum for Autism mainly aims at creating awareness about autism, empowering parents to advocate for rights of persons with autism. Forum for Autism is a parent body which runs two libraries in Kolaba and in Vashi with around 500 books. It also conducts parent training workshops, seminars, and talks. It has a database of parents and professionals and provides sponsorship to unaffording families. Forum for Autism participates in various activities. To name a few are Mumbai Marathon, conducted workshops for parents with young adults, celebration of World Disability Day at Malad Basti, and self-help skill workshop. Since the lockdown, Forum for Autism is continuing its work online. It has been conducting webinars on various topics like preparing to choose the boards, homeschooling, storytelling sessions, setting up presidential setup, to name a few. All the parents who are interested can check those webinars on YouTube. Chef Sanjeev Kapoor and commentator Harsha Bhogle are the cause ambassadors for Forum for Autism. Throughout the lockdown, FFA, that is Forum for Autism, along with ASK, that is Adult Support Kendra, is offering online individual counseling, family counseling, parent support, apart from various other services. To know more about these services, please contact Nicole Kapadia and Suhasini Sundaresan on the numbers mentioned. Join our journey. Be an active part of Forum for Autism. To know more, please call on the phone numbers on your screens. Thank you for your overwhelming response to our webinars. Forum for Autism requests you to donate generously so it helps in our future endeavors. All the donations are eligible for the tax exemption. Please follow us on social media for updates on workshops organized by Forum for Autism. Please follow our Facebook page, Forum for Autism. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out our website www.forumforautism.org.
Good afternoon, everybody. A very warm welcome to all of you from Forum for Autism. This is our third week of events celebrating World Autism Awareness Month. And I hope all of you have been watching our previous programs over the last 2 weeks. And we have another week left, and we have more exciting events lined up for the next till the end of the month. So we hope you will stay connected with all of us till the end of the month. And today, it's a great pleasure for me to welcome Mr. Ranganathan. It actually feels a little weird to formally introduce him, but for the benefit of parents and other friends who have not known him till now personally, he is Pooja and Prasad's father, a chartered accountant by qualification and a career finance professional. He has worked his way up in the corporate sector of India. He is one of our founding trustees of Forum for Autism. In fact, for the longest time, he was the treasurer for more than a decade, very meticulously taking care of our accounts and, I mean, like pushing each of us to produce the smallest bill for the smallest amount. And we've known each other for more than 20 years. So it's actually it's almost like having a conversation with him today. He's been a very hands-on father to Prasad. Prasad will turn 25 soon, and he will now share with us his life experiences, his journey together with Prasad. Ranganathan, are you on?
Yeah, thank you very much. You're able to hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Babita, and for this introduction. While, as you rightly said, many of you will know me, and I would know many of you. So, good afternoon to all my viewers, and a very happy New Year to all my viewers as well. It's Gudi Padwa, Cheti Chand, Ugadi, Vishu, Utandu, Bihu, Baisakhi, Moharam, and all those things, whichever part of India you belong to and wherever you come from. So, thank you very much once again, Forum for Autism, for giving me this opportunity to talk to you. While I've been associated with Forum for almost 20 years now, but this kind of formal interaction is something which is rare, and even I was struggling this afternoon to log into the webinar. Priyanka rightly made a comment, आपने पहले किया नहीं क्या सर ऐसा? तो yes, ज़्यादा बार किया नहीं है. I've been a participant, but not really on this side. So that's what is from me, and over to you, Babita. If you have any specific questions, you can ask me, and you can take it.
So we want to know a little about your early childhood, your adolescence, and some of us know you as a very close friend. Some of us know you as the very meticulous treasurer of Forum for Autism. Some of us know you as in various ways. There might be some of your running friends who have logged in today, so they know you as a marathoner. And we have each of us has a different understanding of who Ranganathan is. So share with us a little about your early childhood and your younger years, and what actually made you the person you are today.
A difficult question, Babita. Not that I remember many of the events from my early teens or childhood, but in that sense, I also don't know which any particular characteristics or the traits that you are seeing in me today was there a long time back. But okay, let me just take you through what my childhood was. Since you're talking about a time when I was not married, I'm sure one word could capitalize everything. I would have been a very happy person there. So, having said that, born in a very conservative Tambram family, I was the youngest of the three sisters and the only son, of course. my formative years, I was born in a place called Ambernath, which is just about a suburb near Mumbai. Spent about 14 years in Ambernath before we moved to a place called Dombivli, which is again not very far from here. So that's where my large part of my schooling and college did happen. As anybody else, not a very, in terms of affluence, not a very great childhood. I still remember my textbooks always used to be second hand. I mean, it was a chain. You buy it second hand, you from somebody who passed out earlier, and then you sell it second hand at 50% the price to the one next. So you have to maintain that chain. All three of us have to pass at the same time. So that was it. Textbooks used to be second hand. Notebooks used to be most of the time used to be reused. I mean, you had an eraser, you would remove the pencil marks and start using it. Things like small pleasures of life with the children take it for granted these days. You've never heard about school picnics or movies or comics, movies, eating out. Was clearly out of bounds for all of us. So that was the case. Um, I would remember that I would have had about one or two movies at most in the first 15 years, and that too, my sister and her husband used to be a member of a club, and then used to go there once or twice. That's all. That's all for me. So that's what it is. I do remember I wanted to be a good sportsman. I wanted to be. I had played a lot of cricket myself, although it was never allowed at home. But I used to sneak out of the house and play a lot of outdoor games, not just cricket, football, hockey, badminton. Everything used to be there. And of course, my dad was a strict disciplinarian. Never used to allow these things covertly, but I still remember going out and picking up 10, 15 paise here and there, stealing 10, 15 paise here and there, and going out for golas and the kulfis, the roadside golas and kulfis. So those are the days that I remember of my childhood. My mom was a homemaker. Most of the time she was in the Bhagwan ka room, and if she had the time out of that, we used to be a family. Dad was a disciplinarian, although I don't remember him being a very constructive, useful in my studies. But he was always there whenever I needed the signature on the report card, which was not always a good period. Sisters, even before I could get to know what a family is, what sisters are all about, two out of my three sisters had already been married. So a sister in that sense was more, the first two one at least, were more like choti ma as opposed to real sisters. So, and that too part-time choti ma. So, because they used to come very infrequently. So that's as far as my childhood is concerned. Some of the things that I learned in childhood, which carries till today. One is discipline. I was always a disciplined person in that sense. I mean, if something has to be done, it has got to be done. And if it has got to be a time frame that it has got to be done, it has got to be done in that time frame. So that's something which I thought I had picked it up from my childhood and carried it forward even today. So that's one. Apart from that, really no life lessons are taught in schools. You just keep picking up, you see people, and then you learn from them. Patience, perseverance is something which I thought I have developed over the period of time, and I can credit myself for being a patient in everything that I do. I'm a believer. I believe in prayers. I believe in hope. Whatever might happen to you, I continue to hope that everything that happens to you happens for something which is good. So those are some of the qualities that are still with me. Quite opposite of what the situation at home was, situation at during my childhood was, uh, I have been a more confident person. I developed into a more confident person. I like taking risks. I like adventures. And if I may use the Hindi word, I've come out as a jugadu in that sense, both from my early schools or late college, and to even today. So that's where it is. So these are some of the qualities that I thought, some coming from birth, some acquired during the process.
Right. I mean, your childhood resonates a lot with me. I think it kind of has been similar for all of us, for many of us at least. The typical Tangram growing up, I think it's kind of take 1 or 2 points, but most of it has been similar for so many of us also growing up in the 70s and 80s, isn't it? Have you been a bright, were you a bright honors student? How was your, how did you fare academically?
I certainly would not call me a bright student at all. While I may not have flunked in any of the exams since my childhood, even today, I've not flunked in any exams, but definitely I was not a bright student. Nobody would have laid their bet on Ranganathan becoming an IIT or getting some scores in the National Talent Search and all those things. No, never. While things like the Bonvita quiz contest and all of that in the childhood did interest me, but never at a competitive level. So I was never a bright student. I would have fallen in the top decile or something, 10th percentile of the 10th percentile of the crowd. That's what it is. I was very reserved by nature. I mean, I was man very similar to what my dad was. I was man of very few words, not talking too much, kept things to myself. So that's what has been my childhood in terms of. I wouldn't, for example, I wouldn't raise hands if a question is asked. There are some students who would raise hands and quite eager to answer. I was definitely not one of them. And even if I'm forced to answer, because the teachers would say that, hey, bench number 4 or 5, you answer. And most of the time, I wouldn't be able to answer that. So,
So take us through your 20s and all. When did you meet Sudha? How did your marriage happen?
Again, Babita, typical tam-ram kind of a marriage. So keeps telling me that whoever had matched our horoscope, he's the first person who should have been killed. So I don't know, very different personalities we were. But how we met was, I was working for a company called Shipping Corporation, and I was actually working for the most lousiest of the department, which is Provident Fund. And her brother-in-law was working for Shipping Corporation. Sudha's brother-in-law was working for Shipping Corporation, and he used to come bring his passbook almost on a monthly basis to me. इसमें कुछ हुआ है क्या देखो types. Again a typical trait. And that's when we developed some kind of a friendship. And he asked me, "Are you looking out for something?" So I said, "Okay, no harm in looking for it." So then the horoscopes were exchanged, and it got matched. Then I went down to see her. Her office was at Churchgate, opposite the Samrat restaurant, where it is Samrat. So it was just about 4 minutes walking distance from Shipping Corporation in Nariman Point to Samrat restaurant, opposite Samrat restaurant. We met there, and that was the beginning. And then when things were okay, we went to her place at Cologne, and the Jing Bang continued. That's where the marriage was. Things would have happened in about three and a half months. So the pre-marriage time was just about 2 months. That's it.
Did you realize that you both were very different people even early on?
No, I mean, probably then this wouldn't have happened. The marriage wouldn't have happened. But very soon we realized that we were very different. But then one of the things that is very important is the upbringings were also very different, Babita, in the sense that she was a typical Mumbaiite, whereas I was not. I was in the suburb, but not really a Mumbaiite in that sense. She was the only child of her father. So the kind of upbringing that she had may be very different. She was educated in a government school. I was not. She So in that sense, her family was very close then. So she had her mamas and the chachas and all of them very close by. They were all staying they were all neighbors. They were more chachas and mamas than neighbors. So they were staying in the same building, same society and all. Whereas that was not the case with us. We had really no real bonding in that sense with the extended family. So our upbringing was very different. But once we got married, many of the things actually fell in place in the sense that there was absolutely, while we pursued our own likings in our life, there was never a time that we, when the objects like Pooja's education is concerned, Pooja's schooling is concerned, or for that matter, Prasad's upbringing was concerned, we were very clear on what we were to do, what we were supposed to be doing. To that extent,
I remember when Pooja's board exams were happening, you both had split up subjects amongst yourselves and you were coaching her for her board exams when she was doing her 10th. I remember that. You had actually
absolutely,
split up
absolutely. You're right. Even when it came to things like Pooja's Arangetram or Pooja's swimming, Pooja's cycling and all, while we never would have spoken to each other that you do this and I will do that, never. But it was a tacit understanding between us that she would do things that she was good at, and I would pick up things that I was proficient or competent with. For example, as you rightly said, our SSC exams, I used to pick up subjects like Hindi and Sanskrit and mathematics and all. Well, she would take science and social studies, things which she was comfortable with.
So then, after Prasad was diagnosed, how was the situation? How did both of you take it? I mean, given that, you both are very different personality-wise, who was able to accept Prasad's diagnosis first and walk us through that initial phase of Prasad's diagnosis?
When Prasad was diagnosed, we were at Goa. While Prasad was born in Mumbai, same hospital as Pooja was, Prasad was, we were staying at Goa when Prasad was born. And pretty much the journey would be very similar to all of us, Babita, in the sense that what we did, how it started and all. The journey was pretty much the same, 1.5 years, he wouldn't speak. So that was the first trigger. Otherwise, nobody bothers about, during those days, nobody bothers that did you skip any of the milestones or eye contact, nahi hai, and all those things. Nobody bothers about it. But here was an important milestone that you couldn't miss, talking. And
because you had Pooja before.
Exactly. And Pooja, good or bad, Pooja started talking much before she turned 1. She could stand up and walk, and she could talk fluently even before 1, which is quite unusual for even today's normal children today. So the comparison was very stark in the house itself. That here is Pooja, who had already started talking before she turned 1, and this chap is not talking, even if it is almost 2 years she was. So, and then you have people coming and telling that ye aunt ka bhatija ka bhanja did not speak for 6 years, so ye bhi ladka aisa hi karega. दादाजी भी नहीं बात करते ज्यादा, पिताजी भी ज्यादा बात नहीं करते, तो ये भी ज्यादा बात नहीं करेगा, ये आराम से बात करेगा. So those were the things which I mean, typically everybody would have had that journey, and no different for me. So that happened, and then that was the time when we decided that Goa may not have really the kind of facilities, more in terms of, we were still in terms of therapy, speech therapies, and some doctor intervention, which we thought that Goa may not have. So it's time that we shift to Mumbai, and that's the time when we decided to shift it back to Bombay. And then when you come to Mumbai, it's the same set of things that you go through. You know, you have Dr. Udani at Hinduja, then you have Bina, the model for parent support, Meenal at Tardev, Vijaya at Bhando. Then you had the speech therapy in Thane, Shubhangi Aulak at BRC, and Rashmi Trivedi in Sai Ram Autism Center, and then eventually Kamini in Sai. So that sort of phase continued, which I guess is true for all of us. I mean, we all go through that, and some way here and there. So all of that happened. Now coming to in division, which we spoke about, the division within the house. Sudha used to be, as you know her, she used to be a voracious reader. So she would read all books on autism. She could finish a book in a day or 1.5 days. So, and she used to talk to people, parents, and people like you, and she used to get ideas. And well, I was handicapped because I never did that. So then whatever she used to give, I used to take. So in terms of objectives were very clear, that she would read, she would do all the tabletop activities, she will do talking to people and understanding, sharing their experiences and all those things. And I would take care of his external things like running and ball playing, catching and throwing balls, swimming, running, cycling, and all of that. I used to take care of it. Not that I was only this, and I have also accompanied Prasad to many of the therapist sessions also. I remember standing out for his session to get over to take it back. So that was what it is. And parents, well, dad was not really a problem, because whenever Sudha used to explain, he used to capture it, and he was a patient listener to whatever she was sharing in terms of experience. Iska ladke ko aisa ho gaya, uska ladke ko ho gaya, ye ho gaya, wo ho gaya. So, and he was a listener, and he could understand. Mom, by that time when we returned from Goa, she was rather, she had her own health problems, and she was not very much there. So you really didn't need to explain to her, because she started playing a very passive role in the family itself because of her ailments, unfortunately. Then we had auntie who would take care of most of the household work and all. So that again was really not a problem. Somehow Sudha kept her parents to a great extent. She wanted to keep them away from Prasad, although they knew what autism was and what is it that is going through. But we didn't have my in-laws getting too much involved in Prasad and his life. While we may be doing different things for Prasad, there was one thing which we had very clearly understood, that no invasive treatment for Prasad. Whatever be the case, no invasive treatment for Prasad. That is one thing which was very clear. Otherwise, we were moving in, we were going in different directions, as long as our objective was clear.
So, I mean, like how you said, it just happened organically. What you did with Prasad and what Sudha did with Prasad, isn't it? I mean, like you didn't have to like sit down and like actually, okay, I'm taking care of this, take care of that. And like, I mean, I know that even things like, you know, the diet that all our boys went through in those days. I mean, like, I know Prasad was also on the diet for quite some time. So, I mean, like, predominantly all the decisions were taken by Sudha.
Yes, usually the diet decisions, the therapy decisions, were taken by Sudha and to a large extent executed by Sudha also. So in that sense, I would. I remember this. I remember this. We were on the GFCF diet for quite some time, and I remember following that. I mean, she had instructed me also to follow that strictly. What is that? I don't remember, Babita. You don't have the colored food, whatever that is called.
Diet.
Pardon me?
Sarah's diet.
Okay. We were doing
Sarah's
that.
diet.
Sarah's diet, yeah. So no colored diet.
All of our participants had to do that.
Yeah, so I used to be following that. She had told me that follow this strictly, and I had no real reason to argue with it unless I had something much better to do that. But I remember once I remember going to Dr. Udani, and I had asked him about this Sarah's diet or one of those GFCF diet, how effective they were. And I remember he telling me a very profound statement that the Sarah's diet or the GFCF diet is not proven to have any beneficial effect on the kids in the spectrum. But one thing is certain, that if you deprive him of calcium and milk products, that is going to have an impact on his health, which is proven. So that was a sort of very profound statement, that here we are pursuing something which is not proven at the cost of something which is proven already that you are not doing it. So that was a profound statement. And then gradually we also decided that there was nothing that was happening out of it, although we did try for a couple of years. But even today, he's out of these colas. I mean, something which we all know is not good for them. It's not good for any of us either.
Anybody,
So,
right.
the colas, he's out.
True. Yeah, I mean, like somewhere down the line, I think all of us gave up the diet. I mean, because it was not really helping, and like you rightly said, we were like depriving them of a lot of nutritious food also. So somewhere down the line, all of us actually have given up the diet also. And then, and one thing I want to ask you, like you said you were doing all the swimming and cycling and things like that. So was it easy? See, the reason I ask this is, like how you said Sudha was the one who was doing or was doing the intervention, was the one executing or the intervention also. This is true of a lot of families also, like where the mothers are going to the therapist's rooms, the mothers are learning from the therapist what needs to be done, and hence they take on this role of the therapist, the de facto therapist at home, very seriously. And a lot of times we've heard mothers instructing fathers and other members of the family, you know, you're not supposed to talk like this. You should say this. You should treat him like this. You should do it like this. Did you have those kind of conversations at home?
No. Sudha was never a serious mother in that sense. So, I mean, both of us were never serious parents. So, in that sense, while she would insist on being strict with the diet particularly, but ठीक है, and एक दिन नहीं पड़ेगा तो क्या करने वाला है? So that was the type of thing that Sudha was. So to that extent, I think there wasn't really, I mean, we were flexible to a great extent in that.
And see, all of us in the FFA core group, we've seen the easy camaraderie between you and Prasad always, which usually doesn't happen in a lot of families for exactly the reason that I said before, because like the mothers are like overly involved and the dads kind of get pushed to the back burner. But we have seen you, I mean, travel effortlessly, even in public transport, with Prasad going by local trains and going by buses. You've done all that with Prasad from a very early age. I mean, as much as Bharat and Satyu and Kabir have been part of our core group meetings, Prasad has been also a part of so many of our core group meetings where he has accompanied you. Was this something that you planned to do, or did it just come naturally to you?
Prasad, Babita was always a very compliant kid in that sense. While he did have his aggressive behavior and hypertensive times, but he was always a compliant guy. I mean, obedient boy. And taking him out in, I used to be traveling in trains and buses and auto rickshaws at that point in time. And it was just my endeavor to make him as normal as anybody else. So there was really no planned effort to integrate him to the crowd or anything. So wherever I used to go in public transport, he used to come with me. And I didn't have any difficulty taking him along. And the sort of comfort that we had, he is a person who was very happy going outside. So to that extent, he was more interested in coming with me than be with Sudha doing some tabletop activities and matching some blue colors along with some A characters A and B. So he was very happy to come along with me. He was very happy to go swimming with me. He was very happy to come along in a train or a bus. So that comfort we had built. And he had come along with me, when you say solo, much before we started off, we had gone, much before Sudha passing away, we had done solo trips. In fact, if you recall, we went to Sabarimala together, if you recall.
Correct.
That was not a very easy task to go with him. But then it's okay. He came along, and then a couple of hikings he was with us. And these days, he goes hiking with Pooja alone also. So,
Correct. And this lot of us moms who have traveled by public transport, especially the trains, we usually get a lot of well-intentioned but a lot of unsolicited advice from fellow passengers. यहाँ एक बाबा है उनके पास लेके जाओ या फिर ये towels पहनाओ ये करो वो करो. Did you have? I'm just trying to get
many.
happened with the dads also. Did that happen to you also?
Many. I used to get a lot, and the only thing was, if you recall, Babita, we did speak about somebody who called up from Chennai saying that you leave your kid with me for about 6 months, and I already have one who can speak now. He came here, but now, see, 6 months he has started speaking, and then he used to give the telephone to that child, and he spoke to me. The child spoke to me, or rather, he was answering questions by this. So there are many people who come about, and in fact, I would have had a little more opportunities than you would have had, because what happened was I started printing his name and phone number on his T-shirt. So people whom I don't meet in the public transport, they used to take that number and call me. So, and saying that तुम्हारे लड़के को ये हुआ है ना, तो ये पूरी है, सांगली में ये आदमी है, इसके पास जाओ तो ठीक हो जाएगा. Many.
How have you tackled those things?
The best way to tackle is, Babita, something which comes from my inheritance. Just stare at them as if nothing is happening to you. They keep on talking for 15 minutes. You test your patience. I have a lot of patience in that sense. So even if that means waiting for them intentionally or not, just stare at them, keep on staring as if you have understood only part of what they are speaking. And after some time they get bored, they take their own way, you take their own way. Many times we have exchanged phone numbers also. And they call back after 2 days. So that's okay. Don't hurt anybody, don't offend anybody.
Right.
But then you do what you want.
Mentioned about having Prasad's name and your phone numbers printed on his T-shirts. That happened for a reason, isn't it? He went missing for more than 24 hours. And all of us, I still remember that SMS that I got from Chitra that said, Ranga's son Prasad is missing. So it put us into so much shock because we couldn't believe that was happening to Prasad and to your family. So can you share with us what you went through as a family and what all you did other than the obvious police complaint? What all you did in your capacity in trying to locate him?
I had sort of anticipated this question, Babita, in the sense that given the relevance of this particular question in today's context,
Correct.
so many teenagers and adolescents going missing, and to that extent, our Prasad is a trendsetter in that sense. Okay, so well, most of the older parents in the forum know the story, Babita, but I don't know what is the profile of the viewers today. Uh, just for the sake of people, just to give a context to what Babita is talking and what I'm going to talk, I'll take you back to 2005. It was year 2005, October 2005, and Prasad would have been about 9ish that time. What we used to do, we used to be staying at Mulund, and then every rooms had those grills, typically that we have today. And Prasad was so small that he could put his leg out, both the legs out, both the hands out, and hold on to the grill, and both his legs hanging outside. While he was inside, the legs used to be hanging outside. So while he was sitting in that comfortable position, the job that was given to him was to pick up the clips, the clips that we use for drying our clothes. So he had to pick the clip and place it somewhere and then pick it back and put it this way. So that was his time pass, number one. At the same time, that was useful for improving his fine motor movements, is what we thought, and that was. So he used to be doing that, and every time the clip used to fall down, the punishment was he has to walk down 2 floors. We were staying on the second floor. He had to walk down 2 floors, pick up the clip, and come back, which used to take about 5 minutes at the max. Run down, pick up the clip, and come back. So on the 23rd of October 2005, I had just finished my meal around 1:30 types, and I was just lying down. It was pretty hot outside, and I was just lying down on the floor. And this fellow was on the grill as usual. And one such clip fell down, and he went down as usual, but didn't come up after 5-7 minutes. Now Sudha came back and said that, hey, jaake dekh kya ho gaya usko, nahi aaya abhi tak. I said, I'm too lazy to get up now. Why don't you go and check? So she went down to check up. He was not there. Down. So she went up about 100-150 meters to the main door of the society, main gate of the society. And but she couldn't go beyond the gate because it was very hot. The floor was very hot, and she was not wearing a chappal. So she had to come back all the way, and then she came up and then told me that this is what had happened. Well, that was the beginning, and then we all started. The search party started. We went out. We started looking out for him here and there on all the roads. We largely the search party was only three of us: myself, Pooja, and Prasad. Sudha. So we went out asking questions to all the shopkeepers who were open there. Then some of the fruits and vegetable vendors who were there. किसी ने देखा नहीं, nobody knew it. There was a rickshaw stand. We questioned the rickshaw wala and all. Nobody knew where, and we had to describe him. So ये बात नहीं करता है, ये shirt पहना था, and all. So nobody realized. That was around 2:33 is when we started the search, and then people from the neighborhood also started coming in. At that time, that was the time when our mall was just started in Mulu, and Prasad was very interested in malls. So we said that let's go and try inside the mall. Has he gone there inside the mall? Because we were sure that nobody would take him. So he would have walked the distance to the mall. So we went into inside the mall. We would have got inside the mall by around 5:30ish, and still believing that we can trace him down somewhere. Well, by the time I came out of the mall, it was 6:37, and it was very dark outside. When we were inside the mall, we didn't realize how dark it was. But when I came out of the mall, it was pitch dark. It was pretty dark. And for want of any word in English, let me describe, that was the time Meri fat gayi. Because I didn't have Prasad and it was dark outside. So all my hopes got shattered that no, this is the time I think it's the end. So then we didn't know what to do. The first thing, as you rightly said, we went to the police station to lodge a complaint. We did lodge a complaint against that. Tell you frankly, if Prasad is with us today, there are only two factors I would credit him for. One is my luck. And the second one I should give credit for is the friends around me. Whether it was my neighbors, it was my relatives, it was Sudha's relatives, whether people came from Forum for Autism, that family called Forum, or wherever it was, my office colleagues, Sudha's colleagues, all of them came forward to help. And the kind of response that we gave to this particular episode was phenomenal. Now, we all knew that we had to act fast. And the kind of things that we did in a matter of about 8-10 hours was really noteworthy. Now, what we did was every police station in and around Mulund, whether it was Thane, Kalwa, Dombivli, Bhanduk, up to Dadar, every police station was informed. Every bus that was parked, because he liked buses, traveling in buses, every bus that was parked, we had looked into that bus. Fearing the worst, we even looked at the two gutters that were going near our house. There was a dargah near our house, and we went there. I went there and picked up, announced from the dargah. They have these big mics. They actually lent the mics also, which I used and hired a rig. And we went around Mulund to see that, kept on announcing that. By 4:30 in the morning, we had pamphlets carrying his photograph printed, and they were getting inserted in the Mulund railway station, Times of India. So we had a person by the name Murli, who was a professor in Mahesh tutorial, who's staying in the building. He said that I will make arrangements for printing, because their question papers of Mahesh tutorial were getting printed at Dharavi. Before 7 in the morning, Ravi had already started announcing that in FM channels. By 9, the TV channels had started carrying his images and telling the fact that he's gone missing. So in a matter of, and then we also looked at every remand home, whether it was Sivri or Jogeshwari, and Chandra Shetty would have already gone there and said that aisa kuch aayega to bata dena mere ko. So in a matter of 15 hours, we had done several things. Not only that, my office colleagues had also organized sniffer dogs, that just in case you have to use them, go to the police station and get the sniffer dogs. So all those things were already done. So in a matter of 14-15 hours, everything was done and finished. So we had done all those things that we could have done. And eventually, as you know, he was found walking on the streets of Thane near Louiswadi police station, and that was at 4 in the evening. That's just about 2 hours after he went missing. And the lady constable found him there, and she took him to the police station, and he was there. And the next morning, they sent out a message to this Shri Ma Vidya Niketan in Thane, which is children of disabled, to check if any of their kids have run out of. That's how we got Prasad. The learnings are act swiftly. The first few hours, 2-3 hours, are very, very critical. So whatever you have to do, act fast. Be aware of railway stations, because every other mode of transport, you will have some kind of a supervision, whether it is a rickshaw. Rickshaw wala will not take you where, unless you tell him where to take. Um, Airport, rickshaw wala, bus, everywhere there is some kind of a monitoring. It's only the railway stations which don't have any monitoring. And when you get into a train, you can go to any part of India, any part of the world. So that's what it is. Socialize as much as possible. Luck is something which you can't work on, but friends is something which you can work on. Let people know that here is a person who is different and he needs some kind of a treatment differently. So that's where it is. Seek help. It's always good to have help. It's always good to have friends around. What could have been done better if we had known? We would have. People have started doing this GPS and printing names on the T-shirt, and then Kada with the phone numbers on and all those things. We could have done that earlier. So that was a. If we had done, we could have done it much earlier than that, and we would not have faced this issue. But I think we need to act fast. So that's a key learning involved.
So why did you, I mean, like now after this episode, Prasad has his name and all your phone numbers on his t-shirt. You have it printed on every t-shirt that you ever buy for him. How did you decide to do this? Because there are other things like you yourself said, there are people who have a kada that the child wears with the parent's name on it. So what made you decide on this t-shirt? Because this is something that you will have to keep doing now. Because every t-shirt that you buy, I know you do get it printed. So why did you decide on the t-shirt?
No. T-shirt was something which, the many things which we tried, somebody even suggested to me that why don't you get his your phone number tattooed on his hand. So that was one suggestion that came. About a week after Prasad was traced back and everything was fine, my boss in Citibank asked me that that's okay, you have him fine, but what are you doing that this incident doesn't recur? That's when I realized, yes, I haven't done anything that such a thing happens again. So that's when the t-shirt thing came about. And I have also tried kada. Now, whether it was you have a silver kada or not is something which we were toying about. Then we decided that no, silver kada, people would actually take him away only for silver kada, not for anything else. So we went for a metallic kada. That metallic kada, one fine day, it fell into the swimming pool. So, and he said, जब भी हम पानी निकालेंगे इसमें 1.5 महीने के बाद, तो तभी हम कड़ा निकाल के देंगे आपको, अभी दिखाई नहीं दे रहा. So that was the end of that kada. And when the kada came out after 1.5 months, it was totally disfigured and all. So kada didn't work. The t-shirts hopefully is working. Now, I don't know, we are running short of time, but I had 2 more stories on this. A follow-up story. I don't know. You may not have heard about it. Many of them, all of you in forum would have heard about this story that happened in 2005. There was a story that happened after that also.
Yes. And after this, I mean, you all started the RDI program with Kamini. So where you had to actually formally start doing sessions with Prasad also. I mean, this was like, besides the cycling and the swimming that you always did with him, there was like now for the first time you were getting into the, getting into formal sessions which were being recorded and then uploaded and stuff. Did it feel weird either to you or to Prasad that you're getting into more formal things now?
Well, we actually didn't know while Sudha did all the reading about RDI. We didn't know when we were going from ABA to RDI, we never knew what's going to happen to us. The only reason we went about was sort of impressed with Kamini in that sense. more importantly, the discipline that she brings about, because you tend to, when left to you to do a particular thing, you would do it at your own pace, and you would tend to take it easy. And here was Kamini, who would be very strict in that sense, and she was no nonsense in that sense. And so we said that no harm in taking, and if she has advocated RDI, no harm in going about it. While I was never against it, as I never knew what ABI is all about, so there was no question what I would know what RDI is all about. So, but she would read and tell me, Sudha would read things and tell me that this is what it is and this is what we are supposed to do. I was not really skeptical about the content or what you're supposed to be doing, but I always thought that whether I would devote that kind of a time, whether in terms of shooting and all those things, I needed to spend a lot of time with it. Will I be able to do it? But then over a period of time, that kind of, I didn't have to devote that kind of a time. And the guilt associated with that also started subsiding.
And just as things seem to be going well, and then you had Pooja introduce a new person into the household. So when Arun first came in and when it became apparent that he was going to be your future son-in-law, did you have any apprehensions with how Prasad would react and what would be the long-term repercussions for Prasad with Arun being added to the family?
Well, Arun had come in Pooja's life even before Sudha passed away. So so we knew that Pooja is going to get married to Arun, and they would have stayed wherever Arun would take her. And we would continue to have our questions on what after us, and we would continue to go on the institutionalization spree. We had looked at several homes, and we would have continued to do that. So that was in any way happening in parallel. Then a few days before the marriage, and Sudha also, things changed at home. I had asked Arun that will he be comfortable staying here, and the initial reaction to that was Arun said no, and I didn't also push too much on that. But then the trick, actually, Sudha's dad did the trick, and future is, as they say, is past.
And just as, I mean, I still remember that phone call from Sudha excitedly telling me about Pooja's impending engagement, and then, like, you know, telling me like the wedding date is fixed for Feb 12th, so you better, you know, make sure that you're going to be in Bombay then and all that. And then came this shocker of her accident. I mean, it still seems unbelievable. It's more than 5 years now. And what were your first reactions when you heard about her accident? What went through your mind then? I mean, like just going from Pooja's engagement talks and suddenly then like having this major accident that turned all your lives upside down. What were your initial thoughts?
Yeah, we all know that she met with an accident on the Parsi New Year day of 2015.
Right.
Since it was a major accident and it involved the skull,
Right.
I was sort of, and I used to be going, in fact, I stayed in the hospital for that 1 week post the accident. I was pretty sure that her journey back to normal would be a pretty long thing. It may not happen immediately. It was, and I was preparing myself for a situation where she would be bedridden for quite some time, and I would have. But little did I prepare for she not coming back at all.
Right.
I was pretty sure, although I may not have said this to many people, but I had prepared myself that way, that journey back was difficult. So in that sense, I was not prepared for it. But then when this happened, even before I sent an SMS or WhatsApp to you, I would have sent it in about 5 minutes time. I was with her in the ICU. She had breathed her last already. In that 2 minutes, I had sort of decided myself that, hey, I promised myself that that's not the end of the world for me. I'm going to complete all the unfinished tasks that she had started. And even before I sent the WhatsApp messages to all of you, I had decided myself that I will continue with that. So to that extent, I had absorbed the shock pretty soon in that sense. As far as Prasad is concerned, not that I spoke to him anything about it, but he was there with us. He was seeing everything that was happening. He was there with us when Sudha was brought and she was taken away, whatever was happening at the home, everything. He was a witness to all those things. So we didn't need anything to be told to him. Only thing is, for 2 months after everything was done, he still continued to show his finger towards the gully at Fine Arts. There's a gully near Fine Arts, and he used to show me that. And he used to show the sign of Mama. For the first 2-3 days, I didn't realize what he was doing. I thought something was. Then I realized that that was the last time he has seen her going that route, because that was the route that led to the crematorium. So he was showing me that route to show that it was Mama's route. So I realized that, and I didn't know how to react to that. But I garnered some courage and asked him, okay, you want to go to Mama there? Why don't we go to Mama there? So I wanted to take him to that route, all the way to the crematorium. He came once or twice, he came and then he said, no, I don't want to come there, I will come back. And now he doesn't show that road also. He has forgotten about it. So, but that was what he was telling me first 2 months. Thereafter, it was our driver Kannan who had taught him that where is Mama? Mama has gone to the forest. Even today, when he sees her photograph or when he talk about her, he says that where is Mama? Mama has gone to the forest.
And as hard as it was at that time, you still had the wedding to plan, because Pooja's wedding was there in the next 6 months, and you had to gather yourself up and dive headlong into the wedding preparations. So how did you manage everything? Your own grief, managing Prasad and his initial, understanding or not understanding completely of what has happened, and managing the wedding preparations. How did you manage all that?
Again, one word, Babita, friends around me. So I had a lot of support pouring in. My in-laws, my sisters, my friends. So, and Vidya and Hema, who were there, and they were there. Vidya used to fly all the way from Dubai to buy some dresses and matching blouse for Pooja. So that was the kind of support that I had. Having said that, most of the thinking part, conceptualization part was already done by Sudha. So the groom was identified when Sudha was alive. So the hall was...
This is actually quite unusual for Sudha. She was always the last minute planner as far as I knew. But when it came to the wedding, somewhere she had made plans way ahead.
Maybe the rationing of the halls in Mumbai, Babita, let's not give overdue credit to Sudha. She was a last minute planner. She was a last minute executioner. Okay. So the rooms were blocked. The two venues, the venue for the muhurtam, the venue for the reception were all planned. The dresses, what kind of dresses to be worn, those were planned. The rooms, allocation of rooms were done. The advances were paid. So most of the things were already done. Even the food menu was already done. We knew that it was going to be the caterer. Who was the caterer? She had already spoken about the caterer, and the first discussion was done. The advance was paid to the caterer. So most of the things she had already done, and a large part of it help came from my friends around me. So I didn't have really much of a problem in that sense. Prasad, of course, I may not have given that kind of time to him during those days, but he can survive with little supervision.
And now I want to talk about your independent life with Prasad. See, of course, now it is kind of almost forced on you that you do a lot of stuff with Prasad. I know, Pooja and Arun are very involved in his everyday life. But you have actually now gone on solo trips outside Mumbai with Prasad, just the two of you. In a lot of homes, what happens? The mother becomes the primary caregiver for children, and hence, it becomes like only the mother knows in and out what the child wants, even to the extent like what he will eat or what he won't eat, what she will wear, what she won't wear. A lot of these details in a lot of homes, the dads are not even aware. So, coming from that kind of scenario, you have been very comfortable with Prasad right from the beginning. But I think it takes, you've taken it to another level by doing these solo trips. And before you start talking about it, I would like to ask Priyanka to share the little thing that you had made for us to show people, all the good times you have had with Prasad. Priyanka?
Yes.
That was such an adorable set of pictures. So tell us about your solo trips with Prasad.
Babita, I was never a passive parent. I was always an active parent in that sense. So if Sudha knew what his diet preferences were and what clothes he had to wear, I may not have a choice between a blue colored shirt and a black colored shirt. But definitely I had a word in telling him that, hey, you are using this shirt quite too often. And or this particular shirt, just throw it away because the name at the back of it has got faded. So you're not supposed to be using it. So in that sense, I was carefully looking at him. It was not that it didn't matter to me. It may not have really mattered the color, but definitely I was involved. And even the food habits, whether is he getting the same kind of food just because he likes a particular food. an auntie would keep giving him dosa because he kept asking for dosa. He doesn't know, so he asks for dosa, but you have to have a balanced diet for him. So those are kind of things which I used to keep observing. And at that point in time, I used to tell this to Sudha to insist on people who are his caregivers. Now I do it myself. So to that extent, it has changed, but I was really observing him in that sense. Well, as I mentioned to you, we have gone on picnics. He's a very comfortable going around with me. He was very comfortable with me for the simple reason is I liked doing things what he wanted. He was a very outgoing kind of a person, and so therefore uh, he liked that, and I also liked it. Okay, so he was that way very close to me also, and I used to buy him chocolates, which his mother didn't. So that again was when I used to go take him for a haircut. The reward for sitting there for about 20 minutes was a chocolate. So that which his mother never gave him, and but I gave him. So to that extent, it was again very good to me, and had started these days. We may not be going out for cycling, but we are doing floor exercises, and we spend about almost 20-25 minutes every day till he sweats it. So he's comfortable doing all those things that we are doing. As I mentioned to you, he does come out, and he has come out with me for Sabarimala also. Many of the hill treks he was with me. So he enjoyed. Uh, then he used to enjoy football, cycling with me, and but now he enjoys coming out with me. As long as he's an outdoor person, we do that.
I mean, when I visit your home, I see the easygoing, the equation between Prasad and, of course, Pooja. Of course, she's anyways her sibling, so he's obviously comfortable with her. But I see that that same kind of comfort he has with Arun also,
Yeah,
isn't it? It's very nice to see that in your home now.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, he with Arun, it was. I mean, if he came into Prasad's life, and that way Prasad is sort of very easygoing. And very soon Arun had sort of picked up his uh, way of living and adjusted to that. Prasad started talking to him, talking in the sense communicating with him, and the sign languages were pretty much the daily living things which Arun picked up very easily, quite easily. And the bonding was pretty much there, and Arun used to take him out also for the local markets and all. So Arun used to take him out. That's what it is. So that's the kind of family bonding that developed. Prasad was born with autism. Pooja got herself acquainted with autism, and Arun now autism is thrust on him.
No, I mean, but he seems to be very comfortable with it also. Arun, I mean, from the very first day that I've seen Arun, I see that Arun has that, very nice comfort level with Prasad from the very beginning, which is very heartening to see actually. And now that we have spoken about you, Prasad, I mean, Pooja and Arun, everybody together, we have to get to your story about fitness and the running that you do and the trekking that you do. And where I mean, you spoke about your school days about cricket and stuff, but did you ever venture into any competitive sports as a youngster? How did you get
No,
into running yourself?
no. You couldn't, because you're a damn brand. For every competitive thing, you had to pay money, which was clearly not there. I mean, I used to be trained with this Alvin Fernandez, who was the Indian hockey player. I was very interested in hockey. But then what happened was, after 3 months of free coaching, you had to pay money to get yourself in. That was sort of not there at all. So anything that required payment of money was sort of not encouraged at all. So even the cricket and all those things was जितना दिन फुकट है उतना दिन ठीक है तुम्हारे लिए. So nothing beyond that. And we've been raised that way. Studies comes first, studies come second, and studies come third. So you will never be allowed to play cricket and all. Although you were good at that, running was only thing where you didn't have to spend money, no? So you could do anything with that. So running was my passion even when I was in school.
Okay. So what made you take it up on a regular basis?
Well, when we shifted to Mumbai from Goa, we started going to a gym which was close by. The gym had, and one of the fondest equipment in that gym was a treadmill for me. And then I used to be training in a treadmill, more like a time pass run. But about 2003-4, I said we need some serious running, and that's when the Mumbai Marathon also started. And then I took up to serious running on the roads. So that was the beginning. And when I did it, Pooja also started it. Sudha also started for a few couple of years. Sudha used to be training with us in Striders. Prasad also got interested in. He was also already when we were in Mulund, we were already there. He was playing football with me. We used to play. We used to do cycling with me. He used to go cycling with the Santos Institute also.
Correct.
So he was also very much interested in all kinds of outdoor activities. So it was just mutually that we helped each other. He has participated in most of the runs. We have that. You saw that one of the clips where we were running for that autism thing at Mulund and Thane. Yeah. Then we also ran that Dr. Reena's run at Bandra.
Sayuri Dalvi is also.
Sayuri Dalvi was at Thane, Mulund,
Right.
and this was Reena's thing at Bandra.
Right.
We participated there. We participated.
Right. And you both were there at our FFA's Run for Autism also. Right.
Yes. Borivali. Yeah.
Correct. So, I mean, you have actually gone out of the country also where you, Pooja and Arun actually participated in the marathons and all that. And you had taken Prasad also out at that time, right?
Yeah.
How was that experience?
I didn't know what to do with him, so we took him there. That was at Amsterdam, I remember. There was a 2-hour period when the 42 guys would come back and 21 would go. In the sense that Arun would come back and Pooja will start her run. So we had 2 hours of gap, and we were looking out for somebody who can take care of Prasad for 2 hours. In fact, I did some Googling also to see if there are some caregivers who know autism in Amsterdam where I can leave Prasad for 2 hours. So that would have been a good experience for me if I had done that. But fortunately, one of our runners' husbands, he offered to take care of him for 2 hours. So we all went there. We ran. The 3 of us ran, and Prasad was under the care of somebody for about an hour or so, little over an hour.
So, I mean, like such wonderful experiences for Prasad also, no? So much of learning, so much of world experiences.
Yeah, I mean, we went for a trek about 3-4 weeks back, just before the second wave. We went for a trek, and actually we were in for another trek. We were supposed to go on this last Saturday, Sunday, but unfortunately that didn't happen. So he's comfortable in that sense. I mean, he has little problems, can get along.
So now going forward, what are your hopes? What are your aspirations for Prasad? Where do you see yourselves in 5 years, 10 years down the line? Where do you see him? What do you see him doing then?
Frankly, I don't have anything planned out for him, Babita. He likes kitchen activities, so he goes to Arpan. He's a trainee out there. He can cut vegetables and all, but I don't see anything big happening there, nor do I aspire on that. The only thing was I can see him. I want to see him happy, cheerful, and healthy. He has been brought up for the last 20, 25 years with a particular standard of living, and he enjoys a quality of life. My only desire is that he should continue to be happy and cheerful. He should be able to maintain that particular quality of life. I want people, whoever is his caregiver is, whoever is going to be with him, to see that they don't repent choosing him to be with them. That's it. Nothing. I haven't really carved out anything big for him. Just continue to be happy. Let him not be a object of pity or people. Let people not think that he's a parasite.
True. I mean, isn't that the hope for all of us parents? I mean, like that we want our children to be happy, and exactly like what you said, not be a parasite. I mean,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
that's
No,
it.
one is being a parasite, and the second one is being felt that he is a parasite. I'm
True.
sort of targeting the second one.
Right. So I think we have some questions here for you. Let me just get to that. Darshana, what was the question? I'm not able to see it.
Okay, so there's a question which says, what do you do to ensure fitness of your son as he's growing?
Physical fitness is extremely important. That makes up for the mental fitness also to a great extent. I've realized that physical fitness is first, and mental fitness follows that. One is make sure that his food habits are controlled and balanced. I mean, I've seen many of the kids in the spectrum eating whatever they want, whenever they want. So, to that extent, his food is moderated. Have a balanced diet, include vegetables, rice, and all those pretty things. I mean, that we do. On the physical fitness side, we have a set of things that we do: cycling, running, floor exercises. It need not necessarily be all three of them. It could be one at a time. And many times he gets bored of one thing, so he goes to the other one. For example, these days we don't run. He has lost the interest in running, but these days he's doing cycling and floor exercises. That is something which is very important for him. So he does floor exercises. We do brisk walking in the evening. Every day we walk for about 45 minutes in the evening, followed by a 20-25 minute physical fitness regimen. So we make sure that at least on an average, 4 to 5 days a week, we are doing some kind of a physical activity.
Okay. Are there any more questions, Priyanka?
It's a personal question which I want Ranganathan, because you're like a father and a son relation that we are sharing. It's not like a role model kind of a thing, but then current parents, the younger parents or the fathers, I would say, find it difficult to connect with their sons, because like we say, the mothers always knows the right way, or at least acts. How would you say is the best way to connect to your son? Is only running, or what else could hit your mind? Because you've given us so many good things to think about. What more could you say how a father and son could connect?
I don't really agree with you, Darshana, that we can't connect. I mean, the father is the best person to connect with the son, because even biologically, they have gone through the same things which the son is going through now. So they are able to connect with them much better in these times of when you grow up. So uh, as long as father has to be interested in the son, he has to show more interest. And at the same time, mothers should also give that kind of a elbow room, that it's not that I know the best for him. Father will also know equally as I would. So a division of labor is the best way to understand and reciprocate with each other. For example, even I have been working with him after when Sudha was here. She used to take care of him, and they used to make things in the kitchen. They used to make dosa, they used to make sandwiches, they used to make bhajis and rice and all those things. They used to work. And after Sudha going away, I have taken up that. I work with him in the kitchen. I mean, we make tea, we make sandwiches. So it's a nice way to connect with each other. And if you are able to connect with his likings, for example, since Prasad was an outdoor guy, then you can actually play with it much more effectively.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions, Darshana? I don't see any more.
That is it. That is it. We have loads of messages saying an inspiration conversation. Thank you for talking about it. But then I think it will reach you. Priyanka will mail you and send you all the comments that are there. So over to you, Babita.
So I think we will we have come to the end of this session. Thank you, Ranganathan. I mean, like I said in the beginning, we are thanking you. And I mean, I've known your family so closely for so many years now.
Babita,
And yet,
I don't know, we don't have time. Unfortunately, there's one question that has come up that we want to share, that the missing. There was one question that was asked, that what is the other story? You want me to take it, or?
We have time. If you are okay.
I don't know, if we don't have time, I don't want to push myself. We were talking about. You remember that story?
If you have the time, please go ahead.
Yeah, please.
Okay, thank you very much. I mean, this is important in that sense. I wouldn't have taken up if this was story relating to Prasad, or for that matter, even Sudha. I wouldn't have taken it. But since it relates to missing people, I thought I have to spend time. And I shared with all of you the first time that happened in 2005. And most of you, as I mentioned, were aware of this story. But something of a similar nature happened in 2013. Sudha was there that time also. So just to give you, we had shifted to Chembur at that point in time. And we had our car, if you know the geography of Chembur, there is this Titan showroom, big Titan showroom near Natraj Talkies, close to the railway station. I had parked, there were four of us, Sudha, Pooja, myself and Prasad. All four of us got down from the car. I parked the car near the Titan showroom only. And given that it was so crowded, it was a Saturday evening around 7:38, reasonably dark, but it was so crowded in Chembur station. And so we couldn't walk together. So the way we walked was in a file, Sudha and Pooja in front, followed by Prasad, and followed by me. I had just locked the car, and then we were going one behind the other. After some time, we would have walked for about 200 meters. 200 meters in that crowd is really big thing. So we walked for about 200 meters, and then Sudha and Pooja come back frantically. Prasad kidhar hai? So Prasad was somewhere between the two of us, and we don't know where he got. So somewhere in the traffic, in the crowd, he went missing. So, and then we looked around, and he was not to be seen. It couldn't have taken more than half a minute that he went missing. So we went around all the way. the same 2005 ka every scene came into my mind. I said that, hey, I cannot handle the second time. This cannot happen. So what I did, the first thing was, I said, forget about everything else. You can take care of the market. Both of you take care of the market. I'm going to run to the railway station, because that is something which I want to be very careful about. Railway platform was very close to that place. So I ran to the railway station to take guard there, that anything happens, if he is in Chembur, he will be found somehow or the other. But if he boards a train, then it's gone. So that was it. I went to the railway station guarding it. And then these people were looking out for all the places, every shop and all those things. They went on for about 20 minutes. They kept on searching for him. Suddenly, Pooja realized that why don't we go back to our car to see if he's there. And both Sudha and Pooja run back to the car. And there you see this boy leaning on the car and waiting for us to. Now, there are two things which really come to my mind at that point in time. Is something that over the period of these 8 years, how he has grown in terms of intellect, in terms of being wise, more importantly, how he has got himself connected to the family, how he has got emotionally connected to the car, how he has got emotionally connected to the people who are around him. So he knows that wherever I go through the day, at the end of the day, I have to come back to this family. So that is what I would put it as, got him back to the family, got him back to the car, standing near the car, waiting for people to come back. So that, I think, is a major, the emotional connect is a major achievement in this 2005 to 2000 journey. And if we can really build that with our children, that would be immensely useful than printing names on the t-shirt or a kada or a tattoo or whatever you do, a GPS or. So that connect has got to be built with him. So that is something which I thought I will share with you, that somehow we need to build that, because each one of us go out to work, but there's something that brings us back to the family at the end of the day, whether it is 11 o'clock at night or 12 o'clock at night. So that is something which we. But there's another interesting, if you have time, there's another interesting story, because since you called me a hands-on dad, there are stories and stories that keep coming out. About 2 years back, there's a short story. 2 years back, we decided, hey, we should make him independent. Abhi usko thoda independence sikhate hain. Chalo, okay, good, great. There is a barber shop just below our house, about 100, 200 meters from our place. You don't have to cross the road. It's on this side of the road only. There's a barber shop. And so you stuff his pocket with money, saying that hair cutting करने के बाद पैसा देना है उसको, and then you give him that money, ask him to go have a haircut and come back. So he has to get down the house, walk up to that distance and come back. All precautions taken. Arun would be standing in the ATM looking at him. Then Pooja will be standing behind the tree, making sure that he is going where he's supposed to be going. Each of us will be carrying our mobiles so that make sure that he goes to the right place. But he doesn't know that, so he's independent. Okay, chalo. Ye kar diya. He leaves the house, goes down, and doesn't reach the first port of call. So I get a phone call. Pooja says, he hasn't come. Okay, aayega. Niche gaya hai, aayega. In about 5-7 minutes, our security guard comes up and says, तो एकटा होता त्याला आम्ही धरून ठेवलंय खाली, मग मी धावत वर आलो तुम्हाला सांगायला. Pooja says, our program of making him independent goes for a toss. Fuski ho gaya wo. Now the question is, do we really become sad that your program to make him independent has gone for a toss, fuski ho gaya, or you be happy that there is a network of people around you who keep a watch on him, and they know that he is different and he is not supposed to be going out alone. And once a thing of this kind happens, they are the first ones to come and tell you. I thought the second was more important. The second thing was more important. The networking and the friends around you are more important in that sense. Never mind he remaining not independent in that sense.
That is true. That is true. I totally agree with that. I mean, that network has what matters a lot more, certainly. Now, I think now we
Sorry,
will read
I'm 36 minutes late. Okay, sorry.
No. In fact, like you started off saying that you're like your dad and you're a man of few words, and for that you have gone on for 1.5 hours, and we are so grateful that you are able to open your heart and share your life stories with us. And thank you again on behalf of Forum for Autism and on behalf of everybody who's watching today. Thank you for sharing your story with us.
Thank you.